What's up, y'all? I have already gone over the human design energy of John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy. So today we're going to go over all three of their energy and compare them so we can see where there's some similarities in their energy and see how that contributed to them being violent serial killers in the spirit of Halloween. So welcome to my channel. I'm Sable Danielle, a human design coach and sound healer, and let's dive in to this exploration of these infamous figures of our history, unfortunately. Serial killers of Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and John Wayne Gacy. Also Charles Manson. So we're going to break down energies, comparing what they have defined and undefined. We're going to go over some of their profile energy and also their emotional authorities. And so we'll analyze how some of the specific energy could have contributed to their murdering sprees, their anger, their emotional outbursts, and all of that crazy, horrible stuff. So let's start. We're going to start with Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is a manifesting generator. His profile is 3-5, and he has a sacral authority and an undefined emotional solar plexus. So as a manifesting generators are known for their quick energy and their ability to multitask, which is crucial in understanding Bundy's ability to be manipulative and navigate his double life. As a manifesting generator, he can act swiftly, jumping from one task to the next with high efficiency. And however, this energy also comes with frustration and anger when he can't operate freely, when he feels controlled, when he feels challenged, when people get in his way or stop him from doing what he's going to do or what he wants to do. Also, as a manifesting generator that has a defined emotional solar plexus, he may have a lot of built up energy or anger, which contributes to his emotional outbursts and violent acts. And so his profile of 3-5 shows a strong trial and error approach to life. He likes to experience life, learn from his experiences. He kind of has to learn by doing. And this can contribute to making him experiment with the deceptive behaviors that he did and constantly trying to find new ways to evade and capture. The 5th line also gives him an aura of projection, which people saw him as trustworthy, which allowed him to easily manipulate people and make them his victims. And so he also has an undefined emotional solar plexus center, which means that he absorbs and takes in and amplifies all of the emotional energy around him, which can create very strong emotional outbursts and energies as well. So this could have contributed to his emotional up and downs when combined with being a manifesting generator who is naturally angry and frustrated. He has gate 55, the spirit of abundance, defined in his chart, which focuses on the emotional abundance or a lack of emotional abundance. And when unaligned, this gate can drive a person to have extreme behaviors when they feel emotionally deprived. And in Bundy's case, this may have manifested as having an insatiable need for control and domination over the victims, which would fill his emotional void. So Bundy's combination of having an undefined emotional center and sensitivity and his desire for emotional fulfillment likely contributed to his built-up frustration and anger, which turned into violence and, his murdering spree. So let's move on to Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer is also a manifesting generator. His profile is 1-3, and he has emotional authority. And so it's interesting because he also has line 3 as a manifesting generator in his energy. So Jeffrey Dahmer, unlike Ted Bundy, has a defined emotional center, which meant that he constantly had access to his emotions. He's constantly processing his emotional waves. He's also very emotional and has very extreme, intense emotional outbursts. As a manifesting generator, similar to Ted Bundy, Dahmer's energy made him restless and constantly looking for new experiences. However, his inability to align with his gut response likely created an internal struggle, pushing him to seek control over his environment and in weird, disturbing, violent ways. And so his profile of 1-3, the line 1 represents the need to investigate and understand. And Dahmer was curious about human anatomy, and he had an obsession with control, which likely stemmed from his investigative nature, which stemmed from this line. He also has the third line in his profile, which is the line of trial and error, where he learned through experiments, and he experimented with a lot of horrible, gruesome things. He has a defined emotional solar plexus, which means he has deep emotional waves, intense emotions, strong emotions. He can go from 0 to 100 really quick, and that can be overwhelming. Bundy was the opposite. He had an undefined emotional solar plexus, so he actually absorbed emotions, which means he would, if he was around Dahmer, he would take in and amplify those emotions. Which, could you imagine taking in and amplifying a serial killer's emotions, and then as a serial killer yourself, you are having more intense and amplified emotions than that? I would never want to be around either one of them, like individually, but like together, absolutely not. That energy is insane. So, okay, so Dahmer had his own consistent, reliable emotional waves, which created internal chaos, and he also didn't know how to manage that. And so he also has gate 6 defined in his charts. Gate 6 deals with sensitivity to emotional conflict, and Dahmer's heightened awareness of emotional tension may have contributed to his desire to create a space where he could control everything, removing emotional conflict entirely by subduing his victims. He has gate 22 defined in his chart, which is the gate of grace, which means he was able to naturally lure his victims with his built-in charm and grace, which came from this gate. However, also when it's out of alignment, this grace and charm can be used as a manipulative force, which would mask Dahmer's darker intentions. He also has gate 36 defined, which is the gate of crisis, and this brings out emotional turbulence, and it has a tendency to act out in times of like emotional crisis. And Dahmer's crimes often involve moments of intense emotional crisis, where his emotional waves were huge and intense and exploded, which led to his violent acts. So, Dahmer's deep emotional waves combined with his need to experiment could have led to his sense of being isolated, and his anger that stemmed from manifesting generator ultimately found a way of being like expressed in a violent and horrible way. John Wayne Gacy, he is a manifester with a 4-6 profile, and he has emotional authority. So manifestors are natural initiators, and Gacy's chart reflects a need for him to control and dominate, and that is likely from being a manifestor. Manifestors don't like being controlled. They like being in control. They don't like authority. They don't like being challenged. They like to do things in their own way, and they're also kind of lone wolves and unique in their own way. So he expressed his anger through violent actions. And manifestors are designed to initiate action, but when they act without informing or they're unaligned, this energy can manifest as anger and rage. And Gacy's desire to control his environment and his victims likely stemmed from his manifestor energy. Having a 4-6 profile, this shows duality between his need to form deep connections from his line 4 and his journey toward becoming a role model from his line 6. Line 4 indicates that he built close relationships with his victims, which often lured them into his trusting space before exploiting their connection for his own gain. He has a defined emotional solar plexus, and like Dahmer, GACY shares that. They have strong, consistent access to their emotions. They have strong, intense emotions, and they have very intense highs and lows, emotional highs and lows, which could have fueled their emotional and violent tendencies, all of their anger, especially since they also share the manifester energy. He also has the gate of 36 defined in his energy. Gate 36 is the gate of crisis. And so that's another similarity. This could have been what led to his violent energy, how his violence and anger erupted into, murdering people. He also has gate 6 defined. Gate 6 is the gate of conflict. And so we're seeing a trend here. All of the things that they have had defined, gate 36, gate 6, manifester energy. Not all of them had a defined emotional solar plexus, but all of them so far have had manifester energy combined with gate 36, gate 6 defined in their chart. That's kind of crazy. Okay, so now also let's go over Charles Manson. Lastly, he is the oddball in this comparison. He was a projector, a 2-4 profile, and he has emotional authority. So let's go over his energy and how that played into his violent, angry outbursts and his murder sprees. So as a projector, Manson was designed to guide and influence others rather than generate the energy himself, which he did by manipulating his followers into his Manson family. So with projector energy, projectors like Manson are here to direct others and can become deeply influential when they're recognized. Manson's projector energy was used manipulatively as he sought out followers who would recognize and empower him. Instead of guiding them positively, he used his energy to steer and manipulate them towards violent acts and creating a dangerous cult-like dynamic for the people around him. His profile of 2-4 shows duality between the introverted hermit energy of line 2 and the network-orientated energy of line 4. Manson likely spent time withdrawing and plotting before using his energy from line 4 to network and use his charisma to influence his circle and manipulate them. He also has a defined emotional solar plexus, so like Dahmer and GACY, Manson also shares that energy of having strong, intense, up and down, impulsive, consistent, reliable energy of their emotions, and also not having a healthy way to utilize their emotions, which could have led to their impulsive, crazy decisions. The gates, though, we don't mention gates 36 and 6. Now we're going to go over gates 49 and 30. Gate 49 is the gate of revolution, and Manson's desire to create a social upheaval and radical change could have been linked to this gate, which would have enticed his followers to engage in violent acts as well as part of being part of the revolution. Gate 30 is the gate of feelings, which is associated with having intense emotional desires and experiences. And Manson's intensity and ability to sway others in an emotional way could have come from this gate. And so now that we've talked about all of them individually, let's just go over some of the comparisons and similarities that they share. A defined emotional solar plexus center, strong, impulsive, high emotional extremes, which could have led to the violent outbursts and impulses, that led them to be serial killers. Ted Bundy has an undefined emotional solar plexus, but he absorbs and amplifies the energy and emotions of others, which could have created the up and down and emotional volatility that he experienced. manifesting generator versus manifestor and projector energy. Bundy and Dahmer are both manifesting generators. John Wayne Gacy was a manifestor, and Charles Manson is a projector. And so the manifesting generators experience frustration when they couldn't fully utilize their energy in a productive way. And this frustration likely led to their violent outbursts and their need for constant movement and creation, which turned into destruction. John Wayne Gacy, as a manifestor, had a strong desire to initiate and control, but when his energy was unrecognized, it likely led to his anger and violence, and it led to him needing to dominate his environment. Charles Manson, as a projector, he influenced through manipulation rather than, leading in a positive manner. His emotional authority and defined gates made him a powerful manipulator, which easily led others to follow him into violent acts. And so through their paths and methods, even though their paths and methods were different and their energies are different, there's so many similarities that you can see through their human design body graphs, which provides a lot of insight into how their unique energies and patterns contributed to their anger, their manipulation, their emotional outbursts, and violent behavior. And so by understanding their emotional centers, authorities, and profiles, we can begin to see how their energies influenced their darker choices. So thank you for listening and watching this analysis of serial killers. Understanding these figures through the lens of human design can shed light on how their energy patterns have contributed to their violent tendencies. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're in the spirit of Halloween. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.